back to the Green Chemistry Education webinar series hosted by the Green Chemistry Commitment. My name is Alicia McCarthy, and I'm the Green Chemistry Commitment Program Manager at Beyond the Nine, a nonprofit organization dedicated to green chemistry education in K-12 through higher ed. This webinar series is designed to highlight relevant topics in green chemistry education for faculty and students who are looking to adopt green chemistry in their courses and programs. As a reminder, we're broadcasting live and recording the session. Therefore, all attendees are in listen-only mode, and all lines are muted. If you have a question, then please type the question into the question chat box on your control panel for the moderators to view. We'll respond to as many questions as we can after Dr. Glenn Hurst and Louise Summerton's presentation. The recording will be posted on a link you see in the welcome box and on this PowerPoint slide. Any supporting documents, such as the presentation slides, will be posted at that link as well. For those of you participating in social media, please connect with us on Twitter or Facebook. We would love to hear some live tweeting going on during our webinars, so join in if you'd like. Thank you for joining us for this webinar and for taking part in this discussion. This webinar is being brought to you by the Green Chemistry Commitment Program, which is a consortium program aimed at transforming chemistry education and expanding the community of green chemistry practitioners, growing departmental resources for those looking to adopt green chemistry, improving connections to industry, and affecting systemic change in chemistry education. The program is voluntary, flexible, and it helps with adopting green chemistry student learning objectives and for promoting the work that you are currently doing in your institution that can serve as models for other institutions to get involved with green chemistry. You can find more information on the link at www.greenchemistrycommitment.org. You can also email me personally at alicia_McCarthy@beyondthenine.org or email our Executive Director, Dr. Amy Cannon, directly at amy_cannon@beyondthenine.org. As part of our webinar series, we're giving away a green chemistry book at the conclusion of each webinar. We will announce the randomly selected winner from the list of attendees at the end of the webinar, and we'll send you the book directly to you. The winner will receive an email from us requesting your contact information immediately following the webinar. So now I would like to introduce our speakers. We first have Dr. Glenn Hurst, and he's been an associate lecturer within the Department of Chemistry at the University of York since 2014. His PhD is in polymer chemistry, and his research interests are within the field of chemistry education at all levels. And he's currently investigating topics such as interdisciplinary learning, green and sustainable chemistry in the curriculum, and new outreach initiatives. Our other speaker will be Louise Summerton, and she is the Training, Education, and Networks, or T.E.N manager at Green Chemistry Center of Excellence, or GCCE, since 2003. Louise develops training and educational materials, as well as facilitates interactions and collaborations between the green chemistry technical platforms and a variety of organizations and industry. Louise and Glenn will be talking with us today about grassroots schools, universities, and industry in the UK through green chemistry education. So I'm now going to switch over to, I'm now going to switch over to Glenn and Louise.
Okay, thanks very much for that fantastic introduction, Alicia. We'll just start the presentation. Okay, fabulous. So this afternoon we'll be talking about grasping schools, universities and industry in the United Kingdom through green chemistry education. So as Alicia actually mentioned, our research interests are in green chemistry education, which we'll be chatting about this afternoon. We also have research interests in developing lab experiments that facilitate independent learning. We do a lot of work on interdisciplinary learning as well. So, for example, at the University of York, we facilitate courses in biochemistry and natural sciences. We do some research into active learning as well. We're very interested in utilizing clickers to facilitate peer instruction, and also using blended learning such as the development of online tutorials or new assessment methods there. So we are based at the Green Chemistry Centre for Excellence at the University of York, and this is led by Professor James Clark, which you can see pictured. At the GCCE, we're a centre of over 100 staff and students. We conduct internationally leading research in the fields of renewable materials, clean synthesis and platform molecules, and also alternative solvents and microwave chemistry. The centre is intimately integrated with industry, and we are committed to, as well as providing education initiatives at the school and university levels, also as part of continuing professional development. So the discussion points for this afternoon include chatting about the green chemistry experiments that we've implemented at school and university levels, to include kitchen chemistry, some of the blended learning resources that we've actually implemented at the university level and for CPD use, an exciting new children's book project that we're engaged with currently, the development of a sustainable chemical company education session for multiple levels, and some discussion on online projects. So a little bit about the teaching at the University of York. We are 4th in the UK for teaching in chemistry, and we have an exceedingly strong teaching ethos in the department. We like to practice innovative teaching, and that is research-led. We've made a conscious effort to embed green chemistry throughout our undergraduate curriculum, both in the laboratory and through program design. So, for example, we have a degree route called Green Principles and Sustainable Processes, together with a postgraduate qualification in the form of a Master's in Science in Green Chemistry. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about the department, we've created the Chemistry at York app here, which is free to download on both Apple and Android devices there. And here's a short video just showing our labs at the Department of Chemistry at York. So Louise will now tell you a little bit about the postgraduate qualification we have.
So the Masters in Green Chemistry and Sustainable Industrial Technology has been running since 2001, and we've had a very wide, diverse range of students graduating from the course from all over the world and from numerous different scientific backgrounds. First and only course of its kind to be accredited by the Royal Society of Chemistry. It's got a very strong industrial involvement, with the student 6-month research project quite often being in collaboration with industry, and giving the students very good career options after the course. Quite a few of them have actually gone on to work with their industrial sponsors. Other unique aspects of the course is it's very multidisciplinary in nature. We have a lecturers coming in, and we also focus a lot on transferable skills, so the students all get a chance to do some outreach when they're here. They get to learn about IP and commercialization, and it's really a broad approach to teaching green chemistry, and not just the actual synthesis and the methods. It's a much bigger picture, more holistic viewpoint that they get from the course.
So one of the first projects that we'd like to chat to you about is our GRASS project, or Green Reactants and Sustainable Products. This was a HEFCE, Higher Education Funding Council for England, funded S-Labs project, where we really wanted to grasp our undergraduate curriculum, placing a particular emphasis on our laboratory. And in order to facilitate this, we worked with our undergraduate students here at York as partners, as both part of their degree program through research projects, and also via employment through summer internships. So initially, to facilitate this, we use an identify, substitute, and implement approach, where using the global harmonized system of classification labeling, we went through all of our undergraduate experiments that we facilitate at the University of York and identified potentially toxic chemicals. So you can see in that table at the top there, this is one of our year one experiments, and we've identified there in red potential solvents that we may wish to actually substitute. So one example of some of the work that we did was replacing tetrahydrofuran with green bio-derived alternatives such as 2-methyl tetrahydrofuran or indeed cyclopentyl methyl ether. We also looked at reducing reagent volumes in experiments, and as you can see here are our students actually helping to facilitate this project, during which the students actually began to ask us, do we need to make this much product? What happens to it at the end? And do we have to heat it to such a high temperature in order for the reaction to actually succeed? And we were lucky enough to actually allow our students to present their findings as part of an international talk, which was great to develop their own personal development skills. So this was useful to benefit future cohorts at York. One particular case study that I'd like to focus on is silly putty. So silly putty is made by cross-linking polyvinyl alcohol with borax, and it's a very common outreach experiment. So for example, it's advertised by the American Chemical Society, the Royal Society of Chemistry, the Nuffield Foundation, and indeed you can buy it in shops as a product. Indeed, we produced an article for an upper division undergraduate student where students examined the rheological properties of polyvinyl alcohol gels, firstly utilizing capillary viscometry and then utilizing rotational viscometry. So this actually produces a shear thickening gel, so you can observe the actual Weissenberg effect there, where the gel is actually climbing up the mechanical stirrer there. So let's just go back to our presentation. So we thought we'd designed quite a good experiment. However, we found out that borax, the cross-linking agent, is exceedingly dangerous. So may damage fertility or the unborn child, which certainly isn't appropriate for us to use with our undergraduate students or indeed as an outreach activity. So we looked to substituting borax with a green alternative, and we were able to find sodium trimetaphosphate in order to demonstrate gelation. And indeed, this was in collaboration with one of our summer students, Jess here. who's now gone on to get a job at International Paint, which is a polymer paint company. However, we were also only able to demonstrate gelation on an exceedingly small scale, as you can see there. So that was not really ideal for determining viscosity relationships. So we turned to a green alginate-based system where we cross-linked this with calcium chloride. And we subsequently trialed this with our natural sciences cohort, and they said the gel lab was great as it was all safe, so we didn't have to wear gloves there. And so we were able to publish this paper here utilizing greener gels to explore rheology, whereby we have substituted our PVA borax system for a nice green alginate calcium chloride linked gel there. So just to kind of give you a practical demonstration of this now, if I can switch my webcam on, how do I do this? Okay, hopefully that's working and you can see us. Yeah,
we can see you.
Fabulous. Okay. So this is, for example, alginate solution here. And initially, students measure how the viscosity of this solution changes as a function of temperature, utilizing a capillary viscometer there. Okay. A low-tech version of actually doing this is to place it into a measuring cylinder that's graduated and then drop a ball bearing through the actual cylinder and using a stopwatch to time how long it takes to drop between two set time points. It's totally green, yeah. And then students then add aliquots of calcium chloride solution here to actually form the actual gel. So I'm just hopefully going to demonstrate it here. Okay. As you can see, we've formed a real bulk gel there. And students are able to measure the gelation as a function of calcium chloride addition. We then form a shear thinning gel, so students can test this as a function of shear rate, and the gel can be disaggregated by adding trisodium citrate. So that's nice and easy there. So we'll just switch back to my presentation, hopefully. Switch this off. Can you confirm you can see my screen, please?
Yep, we can see your screen.
Perfect. Okay, let me just go back. Yeah, so this was a fantastic opportunity to meet the same learning objectives using a totally green system there. Following this, we actually looked at how to implement green chemistry experiments in remote locations, such as Brazil and also the University of Cape Town in South Africa, whereby the availability of equipment and resources, for example, are at a premium. And this was an interesting conference as part of the American Chemical Society GII Global Initiative imperative. And there are lots of challenges associated with doing green chemistry in these locations, both in terms of the actual pay to motivate teachers, and as you can see from this image here, the availability of laboratories here. So we're working on an ongoing project, actually working with local industry to actually allow the students to use the byproducts, the products that they actually produce from their processes, and devise green chemistry experiments around this. One solution that we're actually looking at the University of York is extracting pectin from fruits. So for example, by boiling up apples in lemon juice, we can extract pectin as a solution. Again, the students can determine how the viscosity changes that solution as a function of temperature. And then by adding sugar, the students form a shear thinning gel, similar to jams. We can then deesterify this by adding a weak base, and that actually produces a shear thickening gel. So it's quite nice that in the same gel system, we can produce both a shear thinning and shear thickening phenomena, and then disaggregate in the same way as before using trisodium citrate. So that's a quite nice use of local resources to demonstrate a threshold concept in rheology there. We've also, I mentioned that the Department of Chemistry at the University of York practices research-led teaching. So to this end, we've just submitted a paper looking at smart hydrogels. So smart hydrogels are those where they can reversibly change shape, in this case get bigger or smaller, upon application of a stimulus, such as pH. So you can imagine it being used in targeted drug delivery, whereby my hydrogel loaded with some drug might get bigger at its target site, which may be the gastrointestinal tract, okay? So for example, the chemistry behind this comes with chitosan, where this amine group becomes protonated in the GI tract, and the electrostatic repulsions between these protonated amine groups cause it to expand and release the actual constituents. However, these gels are typically cross-linked with glutaraldehyde, formaldehyde, or epoxy compounds, very, very toxic and dangerous, unsuitable for use in our undergraduate labs. And so we've turned to an alternative green cross-linking agent again in genopin. Genopin is extracted from the fruits of certain plants, and it actually, upon cross-linking, the network actually autofluoresces. So it's a lovely way to introduce fluorescence as well, and you can monitor the degree of cross-linking by changing by monitoring the change in fluorescence intensity as a function of gelation time. So that's quite nice there. Louise.
So I'm going to talk to you a little bit now about major output from an EU-funded project. So this Chem21 online learning platform is a range of free, shareable and interactive education and training materials that have been created to promote the uptake of green and sustainable methodologies with a particular focus on the synthesis of pharmaceuticals. So this has arisen from a 4-year project we've had running here in York in partnership with a number of academics across Europe and 6 major pharmaceutical companies. And we've been working together in terms of the research, looking at green and the synthesis of active pharmaceutical ingredients, but also there's been a significant emphasis on education and training. And this bespoke platform showcases, basically brings together all the education and training resources we've created over the last 4 years into one platform that everybody can access. It's free, you don't need login, etc. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about this now. So it covers a broad range of topics. One of the good things about it being created as a combination of the collaboration between academia and industry is that the academics and industrialists have combined their research expertise, their education expertise, their practical expertise to make sure that all the materials on the platform are applicable, they're relevant, they're current. And in terms, again, of things being research-led, the platform showcases some of the novel cutting-edge research that's resulted from this project. So the platform covers a very broad range of topics, from foundation, which gives a broad appreciation of all the key topics, all the important areas. And then we go into the 5 more in-depth specialized subjects of guides and metrics, solvents, synthetic toolbox, process design, and life cycle impacts and the environmental fate of pharmaceuticals. And the platform is also supported by a book that's published by the Royal Society of Chemistry and authored by Chem21 consortium members and associated external experts. So this platform is suitable for a broad range of audiences. As I'll talk to you a little bit more, it's been specifically designed to increase and enhance its uptake in terms of its flexibility. And also the idea is that it can be readily embedded in existing courses for students. It can be used for individual learning, but it also can be used within industry for continued professional development. So some of these key characteristics that make it so flexible is the fact that I've mentioned it's open, so you don't have to pay to access it. There's no login needed. It's very flexible, so it's been designed in these 6 topics, and within the topics it's broken down into individual modules. Each of these modules stands alone, whereas you can go through the whole lot. It has a logical flow. You can also pick and choose and design your own learning journey, as it were, and all the material is coherent. In terms of its shareability and the fact that I've said you can embed it in existing courses, pretty much all of the content, otherwise stated, is available under a Creative Commons license, so you can use that with acknowledgement. It's also now, I think pretty much all of it is downloadable in PDF format, including transcripts from videos, which also helps in terms of areas where perhaps internet connectivity is an issue. To enhance the sort of users' journey on the platform, to keep their interest, to maintain interest, we've tried to make the platform as interactive as possible, but also to use the various different styles to suit different people who prefer to watch something to take information in, or to read. There's a lot of different quizzes, self-assessment exercises, more in-depth exercises as well, so sort of tutorial, workshop style questions with model answers. I mentioned before, a lot of it is based on actual cutting-edge research that's been taking place within academia and also in partnership with industry. So there's some really nice new methodologies, new tools on there. And it's also been designed to be long-lasting, and we're actually in negotiation talking to the ACS GCI Pharmaceutical Roundtable at the minute, and they're very interested in taking on the platform after the end of the Chem21 project. And their members, so the other pharma companies, will then dedicate some time every year to update the material and make sure that it remains current. So I'm going to try and give you a quick little demo of the platform. So let's start here in Synthetic Toolbox. So this is where I was talking about the different methodologies. These green cutting edge methodologies are all explained here, and all that have been used within the Chem21 project on the synthesis of APIs. So base metal catalysis, biocatalysis, multi-component reaction, CH activation and the like. And then route selection, which is basically an intro to all these topics and talks about the select criteria. So as you can see here, you can download content. So I don't know how I can. So that'll allow you to download the text and also the transcript of videos. And if we click through, you can see that the material is a combination of text, links to other areas of the site with more information, then videos, which
what is route selection? There are usually many synthetic pathways or routes to construct a given structure. There is almost
subtitled and they're hosted on YouTube. What else have we got? So then we go into one of the new methodologies, say CH activation. This describes what CH activation is, gives a general overview of the content, and then it gives a Chem21 case study, which is some work done by a PhD student here at the University of York. It's basically an extended abstract, but the nice thing here is that you have links to a lot of different references. So you can go directly to the papers here, and they're linked via the DOI, so these links won't break. Figures on the site, you can click in and see more detail. In terms of some of the more interactive content, we can have a look at the guides and metrics section. So if we go into solvent selection guides, you can see again there's a lot of different content here, videos, text, but then we get to multiple choice questions, which then tests the user's understanding of the content and also helps keep them engaged. So I'm just going to randomly pick some answers now. And then it will have some discussion as to whether you got the answer right or not, and then some explanation. Then we have Chem21 solvent selection guide here. So this is a new solvent selection guide that was developed by the consortium that is unique in that, as opposed to other selection guides, allows you to assess bio-based solvents and petrochemical derived solvents on a level playing field using GHS symbols and physical data. So there's some explanation here on the platform in terms of its methodology behind the tool. There are the tables, solvents with their ranking in terms of family groups. So you've got alcohols, whether they're recommended, problematic, hazardous. But then also there is an interactive tool here that allows you to rank any solvent you want to see whether it would come out as being green, amber, or red. So all you need to know is its physical properties and its GHS statements, and then you can fill in the data very quickly. It takes about 2 minutes, and that will give you a ranking by default. It's also useful for new solvents and ones that aren't typically used. And finally, we'll have a little look at the metrics part of the platform. Again, there is a new metrics toolkit that was developed within Chem21, again different from other metrics out there in that it goes beyond mass-based and efficiency metrics, and it's much more holistic and looks at downstream and upstream issues, things like critical elements, renewability, LCA and the likes. And just wanted to show you here an example of the more in-depth study questions. So I mentioned about workshop or tutorial-based questions. We have one here on an amidation reaction where there is a PDF. If I can, will that work? Yeah, so you can actually download this or view it in screen. And it's got some questions to look at math metrics of this process. And then it is also supported by a data sheet and a model answer sheet. So if you wanted to incorporate that into a workshop. And that's that for the platform.
Thanks, Louise. So as you can see, this platform is highly interactive, and we're looking at repopulating this actual Chem21 framework with relevant content aimed at high schools and supporting information for teachers. So effectively, it will actually function the same way, but will be populated with the relevant content at that level. So we're looking to doing that in a project commencing in autumn 2017. And linked with that, we are leading a project to produce a children's book in green chemistry with an accompanying teacher pack. And this is to give to schools both nationally and internationally. We started this project last summer where a Nuffield student who was the equivalent of high school age came and researched all of the current children's literature out there at the moment and informed us what they found engaging, together with holding focus groups, and designed an actual storyboard based around green chemistry. And then our undergraduate students here at York have recently produced the first draft of the actual children's book and associated teacher pack. So this is, we're working with a published children's book author, Clementine Bouvet, which is just, this is Clementine here. And the structure of the book will be similar to the Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Okay, so quite simple illustrations, and where possible, it will be strongly linked to the actual secondary level curriculum. So we will produce an electronic version of this actual book, which will be available via the new Chem21 populated platform with secondary school content, and we will also look to translate this actual resource into multiple languages for use across the globe. Other outreach work that we actually do at the University of York include public talks, to include television and radio, seminars, sessions with schools, and we also have a reusable coffee cups campaign there. And to facilitate this, we've formed a group called Green STEMs, which is a mixture of postgraduate students and staff.
Yeah, who are part of the science, technology, engineering and maths departments on campus. You can see a photo here of some of our master's students taking part in some outreach, and one unfortunate soul who was made to dress as a frog.
Okay. So another initiative that we've been doing at the University of York is training students how to run a sustainable chemical company. So initially we did this at the undergraduate level, where students in teams of 4 to 5 establish a company and roles for one another. They are given a product and they have to use their knowledge to design a green synthetic route. They have to consider costing, so equipment, processes, whether they want to do continuous or batch, for example, the chemicals available, what sort of advertising campaign they're going to go for. Is it going to be a mass product that's quite cheap, or quite a bespoke one that you're going to sell for quite a significant amount of money, and any sort of collaborations that they may wish to form between different groups. You get some really interesting kind of stuff there. And this is pitched in a kind of Dragon's Den style to earn investment. I think you have something similar in the States. Effectively, it's going to be students doing a short presentation to a panel of academics who will then choose whether to invest and how much of their money into their respective companies. So this is being conducted, as I mentioned, at the undergraduate level, but we've also modified this for use with industrialists as part of our Renew Chem initiative there. So this is running a sustainable chemical company, but with a focus on postgraduate training with our graduate students together with industrialists. So much more in-depth analysis of the green chemistry associated with running a sustainable chemical company there, where they have to develop and outline a business model, startup costs, running costs, feedstocks, etc. there. Just going back to the actual children's book project here that was created by our undergraduate students, we've also, our students have worked hard to actually make this into a talking book. And I'll just show you a short video here of our students actually reading some of their actual book.
Green chemistry covers such a wide range of topics. How did you all know where to begin?
I've got something to start with, but it really doesn't take a lot to actually distract me.
Well, I thought it was all plain sailing, to be honest. I got it done when I wanted. I was finished by Wednesday.
That's actually when I started.
I did take all week to make mine, but I did spend a lot of time on it each night.
I tried that, but I kept getting distracted by Spike.
I'm not surprised. You spend so much time with that lizard.
I would love to actually meet Spike one day.
That might be hard. Morgan's quite protective of him. What, over a lizard?
You honestly have no idea. He's not just any lizard.
I still remember the time he thought he was a fish. We found him swimming in the fish tank.
I definitely want to see him now. He doesn't sound like any other lizard.
To be fair, seeing Spike might be kind of cool.
He sounds like a legend.
So this just gives you a little bit of an insight into the actual storyline that's accompanied with the green chemistry that the students have actually made there. Okay, great. So I mentioned there in terms of running a sustainable chemical company that we've done this on the undergraduate level together with as part of CPD for postgraduate students and our industrial partners. And Louise is now going to tell us a little bit more about this Renew Chem initiative.
So we appreciated with the current issues in sustainability that employees, industry, chemical and related industries need employees with new skills, knowledge and training to tackle these issues. So we had a focus group, we had a meeting with a number of different industry companies, different manufacturers, key stakeholders, and we talked to them about what they would like to see, what skills, knowledge and experience they would like their graduate employees to have. And then following on from that, we designed this new course for graduate training, which looks at the issues in sustainable manufacturing, but also brings in some transferable skills that the industry would like the students to have in its delivery. And it's targeted at a multidisciplinary audience again. So we advertise this across campus. It's been only for University of York students this year, but the plan is potentially to roll it out further next year. So as Glenn already mentioned, we had a session on running a sustainable chemical company, and it was done in collaboration with a biodiesel manufacturer. But we also had a broad range of other experts, both industrial and academic, running these workshops. So we had one from the York Management School on the business case for green. We had a site tour and some insight from a biochemical company at the Biorenewables Development Centre off-site, which is a scale-up lab and facility for making things from biomass, and a company that had built their business on valorising biomass and wastes. We had GlaxoSmithKline come and talk about their various tools and methodologies they have implemented in their business for their staff. So it was really diverse, and we got really good feedback and good attendance this year. And so, as I say, the plan is to try and roll this out further in future.
Another initiative that we engage our undergraduate students with is team-based learning in green chemistry through group exercises. These are for our second year undergraduate students after their exams in the summer term, where students work in a gender-balanced team with colleagues that they probably haven't met as part of their degree programme to research an industrial green chemistry issue. And personal development is embedded throughout this this learning exercise. So students produce minutes, an executive summary, and actually present their findings of solving this industrial problem as part of formative assessment. So this is initially video recorded, which students find exceedingly useful, coupled with the feedback that they get from their cohort. So they get peer assessed, and feedback from the academic who'll be facilitating the session. Actually watching the video back is invaluable to improving their presentation skills. And following this, they are given a second green chemistry issue to investigate, and they repeat the above. And this forms the summative assessment for this exercise there.
So a lot of the work we do within the Green Chemistry Centre in terms of research is to do with waste valorisation in particular, and this is something that we've latched onto, and we think it's a very good way to communicate green chemistry to a general public, to a lay audience that don't necessarily have the scientific background, because it's something very easy that they can relate to. So we can talk about chemicals normally being made from crude oil and the various issues associated with that, and then the fact that we can make chemicals from waste, from biomass. But it also brings in an interesting discussion about the food versus fuel debate, and the fact that we're not looking at food crops, we're looking at the unavoidable waste. So we have an experiment that we do which can be adapted for various age range children, where we make packaging of plastic from potatoes, and we make it from the peel, so we can relate to the children in terms of, well, you make chips or you make crisps and then you have potato peel left over and there's nothing you can do about it. So are we going to just throw that away, or can we make something useful out of it? So there's an experiment we do with, I think typically we would say key stage 4, but I don't know how that relates in America with teenage children, where we would get them to get some starch from the peel to extract the starch from various washes and decantations, and then they would react starch with acid and glycerol as a plasticizer. They then heat it, neutralize the solution, and then we get them to add food colouring and perhaps even glitter for fun, and then they make their plastic. And that's something very visual and hands-on that the students can do when they visit us, so we can actually take this out to schools. Another, continuing on the same theme, so waste and valorisation of waste, is that we do an experiment where we make a pH indicator from red cabbage, basically the water left over from boiling a cabbage, and you can use this, and this is a very good experiment to do with very young children, because you can just use common or garden household chemicals such as vinegar and lemon juice and carbonated water and laundry detergent, and so it's nice and safe and it's portable. But also to extend it, we have done it with the older age ranges where we've actually got them to then measure the pH accurately rather than just observing the colour, using a universal indicator paper or perhaps a pH meter. And then to go on even further is to do some titrations afterwards to work out strengths. And then another one, we're going to do another little demo, which is something we do with very young children. Again, the idea of valorising waste. What have you? You've got some milk that's gone up. What are you going to do with it? Well, you can actually make glue from it. So hopefully this will work. So this is, again, kitchen chemistry, and really young children can do it. We sometimes do things with the general public where it's an exhibition, people just turn up, and we normally link it to a craft activity. So very young children can have a go at making the glue and then doing some sticking and creative things, whilst perhaps then engaging in a conversation with their parents and getting more in depth in science. So here I have some milk and some vinegar, and so all you do is add probably about half a tablespoon, I'm not going to be very accurate, of vinegar into the milk. Give it a stir, and hopefully, she says, might need a bit more vinegar, you'll get the solids, the curds will separate from the whey. I don't know how well you can see that. It tends to work better with warm milk, and my milk's gone a bit cold. So then we filter. The curds from the whey. So we want to keep the solid. This is the casein from the milk, the protein, and that's what we make the glue with. I can see a bit now, you can see it on the edge where it's solidified. And Glenn's going to get messy again. So it's very simple, we give it a squeeze and we end up with the solid curds, the casein. And then all we need to do, is, I know we do this on a bigger scale as well, so let's see if you can see in there, the curds. I'm going to scrape a bit, if I can, back into my beaker. I'll just do a little bit and add a tiny bit of water. It just dissolve. Again, I think it would work better if my water being warmer. And then we neutralise with a bit of bicarb, again, just stuff from my kitchen cupboard. I get a bit of fizzing, well, you can see any of this. Bubbles from the CO2 coming off from the reaction. And then that, I probably put a bit too much bicarb in. That's your glue, and then you can use that to do some craft activities, as I was saying, really great. Kids really enjoy it.
Okay, thanks, Louise. Go back. Okay, so these are the steps for the making glue from milk activity there, which is available for you to look. So in summary, we've given a presentation there on grasping our opportunities. Hopefully you can see that we've tried to do that at the undergraduate and postgraduate level. We've done a little bit of work engaging with industrialists through our continuing professional development training as part of Renew Chem and Chem21, and also our work with schools there. So green chemistry experiments for all. And effectively, in terms of work going forwards, we're looking at applying the outcomes of these projects to facilitate teaching green chemistry in remote locations, which is particularly challenging. So we'd like to primarily acknowledge all of our fantastic students that have helped to create actually most of the resources that you've been looking at this afternoon, together with staff at the Green Chemistry Centre of Excellence at the University of York and our funding. So thanks very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. That was such an interesting presentation, especially with the demos. It was a wonderful presentation. So we're going to open up the floor right now to any questions, and I'm just going to change back to the presenter. So one of our first questions that we have for you guys is, how many students have had to go through the Master's in Green Chemistry program, and where do the students go upon graduation? Do they go into industry, academia?
I'm going to have to do some quick maths now. 2001, so that's 16 years, normally roughly about 15 students in a cohort, so whatever that is, 16 times 15, 240. So there or thereabouts. And it's a real mixture. I'd probably say half continue with academia and go on to do a PhD. We've had a few gone into teaching, and then quite a lot into industry, but not just standard lab jobs. We've had people go in to work for toy companies, toy manufacturers, cosmetics. We've gone into work for places like the fire brigade in London in terms of environmental advisors. We've gone on to work in energy companies. It's really diverse because they have such a good appreciation of sustainability issues and a holistic appreciation. They don't all just end up working in a lab. If that's not necessarily what they want to do. They want to do something a bit different.
Great. And do you have a handout or information you can share about your calcium chloride and alginate activity? That looks fantastic for use with K-12 students. That's from Susan Smith.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the PowerPoint presentation there, we showed the snippet of the paper in the Journal of Chemical Education. And we also have supplementary information there, which includes guides for instructors, together with student scripts and answer sheet. If you don't have access to that, I can forward it on to Beyond Benign for you to actually distribute.
Great. And another question from Susan Smith. What is the interest and demand for green chemistry in the UK? For example, are students interested in studying green chemistry, and is industry demanding students with these types of skills?
We've definitely seen that industry are demanding these skills. We've had no bother. All of our master's students have gone no problem with getting employment afterwards. And as I mentioned, with the Renew Chem initiative, we actually had this focus group speaking to people from across the different chemical using industries that all were very keen, and students knowing about sustainability, triple bottom line, renewable materials, end of life and waste issues. So yes, it's very hot topic.
Yeah, I think our students really have the competitive advantage that they've got this green chemistry activities embedded throughout their undergraduate curriculum. In terms of our students aware of green chemistry before coming to university, I guess that's something that we're hoping to address further in production of the actual children's book and e-learning platform. So we want to link this very closely to the secondary school or high school curriculum there, so to improve the visibility of green chemistry in this sense.
And Alexandra was asking, I have given green chemistry workshops in Asia for school teachers and university professors. I found it very challenging to figure out in advance of presenting at these workshops and what resources they have available and what level of experiments or worksheets are appropriate at each level. So is it hard to customize the workshops for different institutions and countries? And do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, it is very challenging. I think effective communication is absolutely key to understand their requirements. And I do realise that this takes a little bit more time and preparatory work, and then potentially modifying your portfolio of resources to suit implementation in these remote locations. But I think our aim is to really, where possible, try to develop as many translatable resources as possible that won't require much modification, that can be used at school, university and CPD levels with, as I say, very little modification to enhance understanding of the green chemistry in certain areas there.
I think
it's challenging.
Yeah, it definitely is. And one of the things we're looking at is, as Glenn said, translatable resources. So perhaps things like making the plastic from starch, looking at using local sources of biomass or local starchy waste. And then actually getting back to the master's course is something that we found that people have come, as I said, from all around the world, but they've actually brought some of their local biomass with them, and that was one of their motivations for coming on the course, was to look at valorising their own local wastes, their unique waste to that area. So that could be one way of specialising and tying things in, is to look to see what local resources there are where you're working.
And I mean, this ties in with our work in Brazil, utilising local fruits to demonstrate green chemistry concepts, and also working with industrial cooperatives there, using their byproducts, using some of their actual processes, and developing green chemistry experiments around what they already have there, as opposed to making our resources suit, starting bottom up in that location.
Awesome. And then one final question for you. Do you know how much your Chem21 platform is being used currently? It sounds like a really great resource.
Currently, several hundred. I think the last one for this February is the latest statistics I've got, is 600 new unique users. So it's doing really well. We launched it last summer, and we're hoping, obviously, with the link with the ACS Green Chemistry Institute Pharmaceutical Roundtable, that's going to increase even more. They've got a massive membership, and as I said, really hoping to keep it current so that it keeps being useful and keeps being used. Yeah, we're really, really pleased with it.
And I mean,
it's been a hard 4 years work to bring it all together. So we kind of see there's a massive range of content on there.
But I mean, just off the back of that, as I mentioned, we will be using that as a framework and repopulating the content so that it is applicable for schools at the high school level. So please get into contact with us as this project is just about to start. If you would be interested in even just giving advice as to how best to actually populate this platform with relevant resources there.
Yeah, there was a massive consultation period, probably about the first 6 months to a year of the project, where we surveyed industry and really drilled down the content that we wanted to have on the platform. So it would be great to get some input for this one that's a lower level, the schools based one, to make sure that we make it really relevant and applicable in the same way we did the Chem21 one.
Yeah, both nationally and of course
internationally. Yeah.
Awesome. And I'm going to echo Alexandra's last words, which are thank you for a fantastic presentation. That was very informative. And I'm now going to announce the winner of the raffle, and it's going to be Elizabeth Blue. So Elizabeth Blue, we're going to contact you right after, and we'll get your information and send that off to you. So congratulations. And then just to let everyone know that next month we are planning to have a webinar that will talk about successes and challenges for engaging green chemistry within the department. We're currently figuring out the exact date, but we will have the information out as soon as possible. And you can sign up for our quarterly newsletter to find out more information about future webinars and other events. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.